I was really looking forward to tackling some of the horror tropes that are conventional to the genre and doing an Australian spin on them. So like with our opening scene about the dying animal on the side of the road, we mixed it up and had it be a kangaroo. But like, yeah, I just wanted to put like a unique Australian voice or a spin on the film.
And also trying to inject a good narrative underneath, like with strong characters as well. So it's not just a horror film. There's a lot of people that watch it that aren't horror fans, but it works also as a drama. It could work as a drama. So we wanted to make something that wasn't just conventional horror, but three-dimensional. That was our goal.
When I first read the script, it's such a good script, and I think it's that final scene that, I don't want to give anything away, but it's that final scene that like really grabbed me. Like it was like unreal.
Because endings are really hard. And when I read the end, it was like, oh my God, that's such a great end.
Yeah, and I think that really like instantly grabbed me after reading it. But I guess, generally like grief and mental health are issues that I think a lot of people can relate to, and so I definitely found myself in Mia through her struggles. So I think it's a relatable story.
I'd like to probably speak more to the entire project. I felt as soon as I read it, I knew who the characters were. I knew who all these kids were. I felt like the dialogue was really authentic, and I love that feeling of them being at these parties. And I just love the idea that they find something that would normally be, in a lot of movies, be like, oh, it's frightening, oh, we better not do it. And they're just like, awesome, let's do it. And it's like, I loved in the trailer when I saw it put together, there's a little bit where you see all this sort of stuff happening when they're sort of possessed, and then everyone just breaks into laughter, and you think that it's going to be like everyone's like, oh, terrified. But I thought that was so refreshing and true, that we like seek out that kind of intoxication, that kind of high of being frightened. And I thought that was really cool. But as far as Sue's concerned, I just liked that, as my daughter said last night, oh, you're no Disney mum in this one. She was like, you're threatening to punch someone in the face, or like, that she, I like that Sue's kind of, on it. Like she knows what they're up to. It's pretty hard to get one past Sue.
She's a proper Aussie mum, I reckon, as well.
Yeah, she felt very real to me on the page.
Yeah. And then just adding on to that, there's this obsession with horror, and there's all these ghost tours, and people are obsessed with serial killers. There's something about the paranormal or the morbid that people obsess over. So especially this generation where there's TikTok YouTubers that break down all these cases, that break down these hauntings. There's an obsession with the paranormal and the afterlife that excites people and doesn't scare them anymore. It's more like people want to have a paranormal experience. So wanted to try and capture that.
That's what I felt really proud of last night watching it, because I hadn't seen it before, and I think just like being in a room full of Americans and just going like, yeah, this is how we do it, man. Like, we're tough, like, and there's grit to it, and like we do take the piss out of everything. And I think a lot of other like Americans and stuff often don't get our humor because we laugh at ourselves like chronically, like to a fault. Like,
and we give shit to people all the
dish
time.
it,
Like
man.
that's a term of endearment. Is to give shit to.
it's
Like
love.
the closer you are to someone, the more you shit talk them. But you can't do that in the States. Like,
No.
people don't know how to take it.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
I know.
That's why I found Hayley so funny. All the Australians at the Australian preview screening loved Hayley, but at the American one, everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
Everyone like, oh, they're so scary, man. I was like, bro, come to my old school, bro.
Haley's
Haley.
like, no, Haley's just Australian.
Yeah, I know. You drop the C-bomb once, and Americans have a panic attack. Yeah.
Like, I remember it was like in pre-production, our producer had to they did a voicemail. I'm not going to say what it was, but everyone just burst out laughing, and it was like the funniest thing ever. And that's just like the most fun thing we did on the set.
Oh yeah, to explain that, we'd have Uno matches, and whoever lost the Uno match would have to do like an awkward social dare in front of the cast and crew.
But their Uno is like super fast Uno. Like
very
you
fast.
play like speed
Definitely.
Uno.
Oh, well, we dedicated, like, when we were breaking down the days, there's 2 hours a day allocated to Uno. It is a heavy script, especially in the second half. it gets really heavy. So we didn't want it to be that feeling of coming to set, it to feel heavy and, you know, and dreary and things like that. So in between those heavy scenes, like keeping it lighthearted on set, I think is important. And it also helps everyone, you know, connect. And like doing that Uno and doing the awkward things, you know, it just made it a fun environment on set. So Uno will be at all the games, not sponsored, but all the films will have Uno.
Sponsor them. I like how Danny and Michael, how they made us like comfortable with the hand by showing it in like a fun light, because not many like horror films do that. So like they make the audience feel like the hand is cool and like fun to use. So then when it goes wrong, it's like it's what you least expect. And obviously like you might expect, but it's just like cool how we see it in that like youth culture and just people having fun with it before, you know, all the chaos happens.
Yeah, yeah, and to not fall victim to your vices, because I think that so many people are, you know, trying to escape certain things with whether it's gambling or drugs or alcohol, like just to not, you know, lean on those things as a crutch when there's, you know, things going on in your head. There was like an exploration of that, and yeah, really personal things where it's like, yeah, when you try to use it to escape or try and use those things as a crutch, you collapse under it. So yeah, sort of the metaphor.
Yeah, if you're like drinking or doing something like that for fun is one thing, but if you're doing it to hide for something or run for something, you're not necessarily going to have a positive experience. Sorry. Oh, sorry. No. You will be sorry if you keep it.
Yeah, and that's how we wanted the opening. Like every time that they use the hand, the groups are getting smaller and it's sort of getting sadder. Where it's like it's a fun group experience at first, and then it's a small group, and then it's like, oh, they're doing it by themselves. Yeah, we just wanted that. Yeah.
I also feel like, I don't know, watching it last night and even just filming it, I felt like so often in, I mean, particularly in horror movies, but actually in just a lot of movies, teenagers are portrayed with such trope, you know, like it's so, this person fits in that, and that person's that, and that's the scared one, and that's the tough one, and that's, you know, and I feel like we were really, by the script and by the boys, really liberated from that. And I feel like nobody fell into trope, and we were all kind of just allowed to bring quite complicated, nuanced, weird people to the table, and it was never too much or too little. And I also do feel like, I mean, people keep talking about like the diversity of the film and blah, 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 blah. And it just like, it just feels really representative. And I love that none of it's none of it is talked about. Like nobody's making a meal out of this person is ticking that box. Like it's just, and the boys, you can feel when you've been cast for your gender or your ethnicity, and you can feel when you've been cast because you're right for the role and you're right for the story. And it's, you know, and I really felt like that's the place the boys cast from. And I don't feel like that a lot of the time. So that was really cool.
Yeah, what's really cool is that, yeah, all those Australian, like those multicultural groups of friends where everyone is, yeah. That's like, yeah, it wasn't trying to tick boxes at all. It's everyone just felt right to the characters.
Oh yeah, and no character was written with that in mind. Like this is this character, this is that. It was open slate, and it's the best performers coming through. And like say, Zoe is such a commanding presence that we knew straight away from the audition. It's like, bang, that's Hayley. That's Hayley. And then you see these people, and you know straight away. It's like, oh, amazing! It's so great.